these numbers aren't equal, right? This side has 186,400. These both are even. This has much less, almost half the number. And we're given it twice, once at the beginning and once at the end. That seems like a lot of information to me. Let me ask it this way. Does God think this information is important? Would you think? So how long did it take to read the 18 chapters? And it was boring, right, if we're honest. Have you spent an hour and a half doing other things, like vegging out in front of TV or binge watching Netflix? So, why is spending an hour and a half in Numbers so tedious to us?
There's no story.
It's not a story. It's hard. It's repetitive. David?
Everything that God's doing isn't just for our pleasure, first of all. And second of all, God takes great care in taking account of everyone, every single tiny detail.
God has a book with our names written in it. We might not care about this census, but we'll certainly care about that census, will we not? Well, maybe God does care about it, but maybe it really is meaningless. What do you think? How many times has someone asked you about the 144,000 in Revelation? Has anybody ever talked about the 288,000 in 2 Chronicles or 1 Chronicles 27? Could it be that the 144,000 are difficult to understand because we choose to neglect the 288,000? Let's see where this takes us. Okay, so this is the information. These are the numbers. This is the arrangement of the camp in Israel in Numbers 2. Now, do these people get to go into the promised land? These numbers, do they get to go in? No. Why don't they get to go in? Yeah, they put God to the test. They said, oh, we're too small. God said, okay, fine. And then they said, oh, we'll go up. And they go up without God and they get creamed. And then for the next 38 years, they wander in the wilderness and they die. Deuteronomy says it should take 11 days to go from Mount Sinai to the promised land. They spend basically 40 years. If someone says to you, I'm ready to pass over Jordan, I understand the sentiment, but if you only pass over Jordan when you die, you spent 40 years in the wilderness. It should have only taken us 11 days to go from Sinai to the promised land. How many of the people in this number count actually step foot in the promised land? It's 2. Joshua and Caleb. What's true of every name in the Bible? As intelligent readers, what should we do? And what does Joshua mean? Sorry? Yeah, do you know in Greek it's Jesus or Yeshua in Hebrew? And do you know that Joshua and Jesus are exactly the same word? Moses can't get you into the promised land. Yeshua, Hamashiach, Jesus Christos can get you into the promised land. Moses can only get you to the field of thorns. Joshua can get you in. He's one. There's another guy in this list who makes it in. Caleb. All biblical names mean something in the Bible. What does Caleb mean? Well, I am glad that you asked. Let's see if we can find this here. So Caleb is listed as the spy for Judah. But do you know that he's a Canaanite? It's Caleb the Canaanite. And did you know that the Canaanites are Canaanites? Did you know that? So Caleb, or Kenite, I forget which one. Caleb he's either a natural Jewish descendant who happens to be from a tribe that's also the tribe of the Canaanites, or what would the other way be to explain that data? Or he's a Canaanite who converted and was taken into Israel. We'll just look up his name here. Just as soon as my computer... I think I'm asking my computer to do too much. It's having a rebellion. So Caleb, this is what his name means. And if you're named Caleb, I apologize. Caleb means the dog. Yeah, the dog. Do you see it there? The dog clan.
Is that a good dog or a bad dog? Like dog or dog?
like D-O-G or D-A-W-G-S. I don't know, but the way you say go dogs in Greek is itekunes.
And how do you say it all the time?
Me genoito, may it never be. Who puts in a freshman quarterback and throws a touchdown on the last play to win the national championship? Not that that's still painful or anything, or I'm still thinking about it 3 months later.
I just looked it up too, and it's saying that it's like dog means wholehearted or bold as well.
Yeah, so it could be, tell me your name again. Rebecca. So it could be like, you're the dog, or it could be like, you're the dog. And that's different, isn't it? So who is this guy? We're told he's son of Jephunneh. We're told somewhere his clan is the Kenites or Kenizzites. And the Kenizzites are Canaanites. So, like, how do you get a Kenite Maybe I can do it this way. Caleb, and then any word that starts with a K. How about that? Yeah, Kenizzite, son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite. And if this is our word, and the Kenizzites, these are the Canaanites that Abraham's going to drive out. And you can see it's exactly the same word, right? You can see spelled exactly the same. Which must mean that this guy Jephunneh was a Canaanite who converted, and then Caleb's his son. He's the other guy who takes the promised land. Joshua and the dog. Not sure what to make of that, but it's interesting, isn't it? Only 2 guys go in, but how many people were going to go in when God made the promise? 603,550. And I guess it's 625, 550. The ones who actually go in is 624, 730. Unless there's something I'm missing somewhere. But maybe it's saying that God wanted this many people to go in and that many people went in, but the rebellious people were rejected and God replaced them. Maybe it's saying that. Tell me your name again. Jacob.
So those numbers, warriors or men, women, and children?
It's only warriors, so it's the men 20 years old to 50 years old who could go out for battle. So probably there are like 3 million people total. So we are told which direction that they're to go. Issachar, Judah, Zebulun, Simeon, Ruben. Ruben is, remind me who Ruben is? He's the firstborn, but why isn't he the natural born leader? He slept with his father's concubine. What is a concubine?
Not a wife.
Acts like a wife.
Looks like a wife, acts like a wife, not a wife. What's the polite way of saying that? A mistress? Your dad having a mistress, is that a good thing or a bad thing? So you sleep with your dad's mistress, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I mean, they're not married.
You would make a good defense lawyer.
That's not good. No,
And no offense to defense lawyers. If you were going to throw somebody like out of heaven, or you didn't want somebody to make it to heaven, would Ruben be? I know you're not supposed to judge, but I mean, guy sleeps with his father's mistress. Would you think that kind of guy is going to end up in heaven or not?
I mean, he was also the only one that was concerned for Joseph.
Yeah, he was concerned, and he was trying to be a redeemer, but nobody respected him because he had this obvious sin in his life. What about Judah? Does Judah have anything against him?
A little bit.
Oh, sleep with your daughter-in-law, and you've got a great excuse. You thought she was a cult prostitute. Well, see, I got lost, and I got confused. I didn't realize it was a brothel, and had all this money in my pocket, and no, this is terrible, right? So maybe you throw him out too. Let's keep reading. This is Ezekiel's temple. This is the ESV Study Bible, fantastic study Bible. I hope you get it. It's really nice. They let all the maps, you can copy them into PowerPoint. It's a great teaching tool. I think the Tabernacle comes from the ESV Study Bible as well. What strikes you about Ezekiel's temple? We've got a river that flows here. It's kind of symmetrical looking to me. And it's a cube. Did you notice that? It's a cube. We're even told how big it is. This is, the tabernacle is the center here, but all this portion is the prince's land and the Levites' land and the temple. And to put this in perspective, I think from like right here to right there is like 12 miles. So I don't know, is that like 6 miles or something? But the New Jerusalem, we're told, is 12,000 stadia. If you have your phone, I want you to do the math of this. If you get a calculator, we're told the New Jerusalem is 12,000 stadia cubed. Okay, how much is a stadion? A stadion is 607 feet. So if we want to know how big New Jerusalem is in Revelation when John saw it, what should we do with this 12,000 number? Multiply it by 607, and that gives you the feet. So it's 7 million feet. If we wanted to convert that to miles, what would we do? 5,280. 1379.5. That's cubed. They got their math wrong. I got this off the internet. So that's how big a square 1,379 miles would be. And it's cubed. Heavenly Jerusalem is that cubed. I thought if we want to see a picture of that, I'm going to go to Google. And I'm going to ask for Heavenly Jerusalem. And I know there's a place called tourofheaven.com. It's going to give me a picture of this. And basically, it's going to make a cube. Tour of Heaven, I think, is the website. I think I've got my computer locked up. There it is. So help me with that. Heavenly Jerusalem is described as a 1,379-mile cube. That's what it would look like if it were on America. There's a picture on this website if it were in Israel. That's Israel. This is America. Help me with that. John says measure. John says count.
Last time we talked about it, you talked about how the tabernacle kept getting larger, how New Jerusalem might keep getting larger.
Yes, and tell me your name again. Ethan. And so what do you make of that, Ethan?
Well, more people, more space.
More people, more space. So it does seem like weird stuff, right?
When are we given the dimensions of New Jerusalem? Is that Revelation?
In Revelation, and measured it the last chapter in Revelation. I mean, if you have a city, this is talking about a city whose walls are that tall. Jackson, what strikes you about that?
About the walls of the city.
The walls, the city, all of it.
Well, with the city, since the Holy of Holies is supposed to be a picture of Eden, maybe it means that as the gospel spreads and people get saved, the whole world's going to become Eden, and maybe everyone's going to be a Christian one day.
You mean like the earth is filled with the knowledge of the glory of God as the waters fill the sea? Like be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth? That's interesting, isn't it?
With the walls, there could be a connection because when they were taken into exile, the walls were torn down. And so now God's making a city where the walls will never be torn down.
Never be torn down. I could buy that. Do you know the tribes are listed in Revelation?
Tribe of Dan is left out.
Tribe of Dan is left out. What do you make of that?
They fell into idolatry, and some scholars believe that the tribe of Dan is where the Antichrist is coming from.
You also mentioned that Dan means judge, and God is the only judge in heaven.
Right, heavenly Jerusalem has no judge but God. Who else is left out?
Technically Joseph, but he's split up into two tribes.
And who is Ephraim?
Joseph's other son.
Ephraim is Joseph's son, but which one is he? Is the oldest or the youngest? We should find the passage. See, the reason the Bible isn't interesting to us in terms of the detail is because we want it to be interesting without looking for something. This is God's hide and seek thing. God says the glory of God to hide things, the glory of kings to search them out. God wants to make us kings and queens. We want to experience that without actually looking for anything. God says part of the fun is actually looking and trying to figure out. So which one is the older and which one the younger? Should we look? So this is the passage. They're born I really do need some kind of upgrade on my computer. Ephraim and Manasseh, so Asenath is an Egyptian. It's Joseph's wife. I think the blessing comes. So which one's the older one? Manasseh is the older one. So what do you make of that? Why? Because, see, Joseph is listed. Joseph is listed in Revelation 7. Manasseh is listed. Ephraim isn't listed. Why does Revelation 7 double the people in 1 Chronicles 27? What's 1 Chronicles 27 about? Why do some of the tribes go up and some go down? Simeon loses 37,000 people from the first census. Manasseh gains 20,000 people. Benjamin gains 20,000 people. Asher gains 12,000 people. How many Reubenites are there in 1 Chronicles 12? That's almost like over a third of everyone listed. Is Ruben in heaven? So someone who commits horrible sexual sin can still go to heaven. What about Judah? Did Judah commit horrible sin? Was Judah faithful to God? Does the order change at all between the camp in Revelation and the camp in Numbers? The order does change, doesn't it? What do you make of that? Does the orientation of the city change? So what else do you find interesting about Numbers 1 through 18? Jackson?
The part about the Nazarite vow seems really, really big. So the three things were couldn't be around anything bad, couldn't drink from the vine, couldn't cut their hair. But like, what exactly did it do?
So, what chapter does it appear in?
6.
Which chapter?
6.
So, what's true of every word in Hebrew, every name? So what's the first thing we should do? We should look and see what it means. And if we did that, this is our word, not seer. And if we wanted to, like, say, tell me what the root of that word means, we would type in type a period, NZR. NZR. And if we did that, this is what it would come up with. And we'll do this in English. So where does the word natsar appear in that sentence? Hear, O kings, give ear. So what does natsir mean? Princes. This is kind of driving me crazy. Sorry about that. I'm pushing the button like too many times, I think. What does...
That was the prince's land.
Did I type in the wrong... NZR. This is the root. They will give on his head a netzir. What is that root? Consecration, ordination, crown. This is whatever is engraving, crown. This is our Nazarite word. Crown. 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 So what's at the heart of the Natsar? What do you think?
Something kingly.
Something kingly. That would be interesting, would it not? isn't it Matthew 2? One lived in a city called Nazareth, so that what was spoken by the prophets might be fulfilled, plural prophets. He will be called a Nazarene. You go look that up in a cross-reference, they're going to say, where does that come from? Because there is no passage that says he will be called a Nazarene. There are lots of these kingly passages, lots of them. If we spelled not Nazarene a different way, if we spelled it this way, not Ser, where does the word not Ser appear? It's like, I'm not sure, that's weird. What about here? There shall come forth a shoot from the netzer of Jesse, a branch from his roots. Do you see it means stump there? Netzer. Do you know what Nazareth means? Stumpville. That's what it means. That's what the name means. Unless you want to make it Crownville. Stump and crown, but which one is it? Or is it both? Is it God's meta-narrative artistry? Now, you have to admit that those numbers are meaningless, right? I mean, we've spent an hour trying to figure out. Do you know what those numbers would look like if you put it on a piece of paper? Like assigned a dot per person? Does that look like something to you? Or does that look like something to you? But those numbers are meaningless, right? Because we can skip over stuff like that and just, because it's trivial. It's just, or it's God hiding something in plain sight. And we skip over it over and over and over because we want to get to the good stuff. Well, maybe it is the good. Maybe it's all the good stuff. All right. So I'll see you on Wednesday.